what they indicate should deploy.
Navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the signs of past life.
We're bringing NASA's communications engineer, flight communication systems, Josh Miller. Josh, welcome to N1, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I asked everybody on the show the same question. How awesome really was landing on Mars?
So landing on Mars is probably one of those things that you never expect to happen in your lifetime, but whenever it does happen, it's quite possibly one of the most exciting things that you'll probably ever do.
Definitely. So tell us more about your part on this mission as communication engineer, and what is your job on the mission now the rover was landed?
Yeah, sure. So my position here, my job with the rover was actually twofold. My job was building the communication system for the main part of the mission. So that's the communication system that lives on the rover that actually allows us to talk to a couple of other spacecraft in orbit around Mars, and also allows us to talk all the way back to Earth. But then one of the other really exciting things that I got to work on for this mission was the communication system for the helicopter, also known as Ingenuity, which right now is currently on the underside of Perseverance. So we're looking forward to that taking flight here pretty soon. But my job was the development of the communication systems for both the rover and the helicopter on board.
How exciting is that? I mean, Ingenuity is the first of its kind. There are a lot of firsts on this mission, and that is one of the first things that we will see on Mars. When will Ingenuity actually take place? When will it perform its first experiments, or has it already?
So we have talked to it while it is connected to the rover underneath. The rover did talk to it and checked in with it and said, "Hey, how are you? How are you doing?" And it said, "Hey, I'm alive, and all things are good right now." So, but right now, our teams here on the ground here at JPL are working on trying to figure out some of the plans for operations here. So we probably won't see the helicopter fly for a couple of weeks to maybe a month. The reason for that is just that they need to make sure everything is in line and ready to go before they hit the go button.
So, as you said, during its primary mission, Perseverance will read the geologic history of Jezero and look for any clues about past alien inhabitants. It will also select and cache rock samples that a future rover will fetch and return to Earth sometime within the next decade. What do you actually hope for? What do you hope that Perseverance will find in Jezero crater?
So we are all very hopeful. I mean, we're hopeful that maybe there's some indication there of some indication of past life, right? But you can't be 100% sure. It's really a good educated guess. But we're all really hopeful that we'll be able to find some kind of clues that we'll be able to use to really make a plan for our next steps, and also to really have a much better look into Mars history.
And do you think, this is like $1 million question, and it's been discussed a lot, not only in NASA, but also in other companies, such as private companies, such as SpaceX. Do you think human mission will be able to go on missions to Mars? I know it sounds like probably like science fiction right now, but landing a robot on the surface of Mars seemed science fiction earlier in time, and look at us now.
No, I think that we will have humans on Mars at some point. It's the next step in our cosmic exploration. But the one complicating factor with going to Mars is humans. There's a lot of extra requirements, a lot of psychological impacts, and things like that, which we really have to take into consideration when sending a mission to Mars with people on it. So will it happen next year? I don't know about next year, but within the next decade or so, I think that's a really good bet.
Like you said, there are a lot of things that we have to think about when it comes to human missions, such as, first of all, radiation, right? Humans outside of in outer space, there's radiation. There's another thing on Mars that is low density, low gravity. We will have to work a lot. Okay, we already landed 1-ton robot on Mars, and how do we land 40-ton, right? Human crew on Mars. It's going to be very challenging for anyone and everybody who's going to be involved in that mission as well. But Josh, why is this mission, Perseverance mission, specifically important to us, to humanity? And why is it important to you in the science in particular?
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned, this mission in particular, Perseverance and Ingenuity, is the culmination of four decades of work of exploring Mars, where we started with doing orbiters around Mars and eventually have now a series of robots that are on the surface. And each one is bringing something new in terms of capabilities and analysis and just all of the things that we are learning about Mars and what happened on Mars in the past. So what's really important about this mission is that it is really continuing that science that we've been doing for so long, and hopefully bringing us some much more in-depth and much more detailed answers about the history of Mars. And one thing I wanted to note in particular was that this mission is really special because it's the first part of two missions where we want to bring these rock and soil samples back to Earth, where we can really make use of all of the facilities, all of the technology, all of the equipment we have here in our laboratories at JPL and worldwide, where we can really analyze these kinds of samples more in depth rather than trying to do it on Mars in place like we've done in the past. So that's what's really exciting about this mission. But personally,
all right.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So what's really exciting about this mission personally for me is just having my own hardware on Mars is wildly exciting. Something that while I may not have done all of the very in-depth design for it, it was something that I had my hands on and that I was testing and had once here in the lab on Earth is now hundreds of millions of miles away on another planet. So to me, that is wildly exciting.
It's super exciting for everybody. I can imagine how exciting that is for you. So 2 years from now, when the mission is supposed to already start, programming itself, and you guys programming to fetch the data and fetch the samples and get it back on Earth, will rover, and when it ends its life, what happens then? How do you guys plan on fetching and getting back the samples from Perseverance?
Sure. So The next step of this journey is going to be something that's called Mars sample return. We haven't come up with a creative name for it yet, but as of right now, it's called Mars sample return. And essentially what the idea is going to be is that we go back much in the same fashion with a similar kind of rover where we land on the surface and then drive around and pick up the samples that were left behind by Perseverance. So Perseverance is taking these samples and then caching them in certain known spots. And the next mission is going to be to grab those samples and pick them up, put them inside the next rover. And then once we have as many as we can find or as many as we can pick up, we are literally going to put them on top of a rocket and send them into Mars orbit, where they'll be picked up and brought back to Earth.
You say it so easily. We put it on a rocket and then we ignition, we go and we send it back to Earth. So easily said. You know, that's why I love you guys at NASA. Everything seems so possible. Impossible makes possible. So science, space, has it always been something that you wanted to do? And why NASA?
So why NASA? I can remember whenever I was young.
That is such a rhetorical question, isn't it?
It really. So, I mean, I think really it started for me whenever I was young. I think it was 1995 or 96, whenever Apollo 13, the movie, came out, you know, with Tom Hanks in it. And I remember watching that movie whenever I was young, probably 10 times over, and just being excited and so enthralled with the thought of going to space. And it's something that I've been probably thinking about ever since then, you know, 25 years ago or so. So it's always really been something that I've been interested in, and I really tailored a lot of my university studies around that, and eventually ended up here at JPL. And I could not be happier, could not be more excited about the work that I get to do.
What other projects do you work on, Josh?
So right now I am working on another mission called Europa Clipper. That's going to Europa, which is one of Jupiter's moons. A couple other ones that I've worked on in the past are a mission that went to the space station called EcoStress. That's on the space station. And I've also worked on some early stage stuff for Mars sample return. So always something new and exciting going on. I've also worked on a couple different CubeSats as well that are up in Earth orbit. So all the way from little satellites to things that are 1 ton big.
There's so much work. Do you ever have time off for yourself, or is it just work? Night shifts?
Sometimes.
Morning shifts?
So, I mean, right now we are in a very exciting time where there's a lot of different things happening with a couple different missions, and it does require a bigger time commitment right now, I'll say. But we also have times where things calm down and we do get to take a break. So you take the good with the bigger hours, but it's a pretty good balance, and things are really exciting. And in the end, it's totally worth it.
It is exciting. It's very challenging, and such an honor to work for NASA. And of course, NASA has the honor to have you on board. Josh, thank you very much for joining us. This was really exciting. I hope to talk to you sometime soon. As Perseverance conducts its first tests, I'm hoping to have you on the show once more.
Will do. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Josh. NASA JPL's communication engineer, flight communication system Josh Miller. I'm Ferrer. Thank you for watching.
Alpha indicates chute deployed.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed, and we are seeing significant deceleration.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Tango Delta.
Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars, ready to begin seeking the sands of past life.